This is The Sports Life.
Game, Reynolds inbounds, lobs it down to Osimo behind the defense, and a split. Oh, he missed the dunk, but it doesn't matter. Ball game. It's over. The Gophers have stunned 10th-ranked Michigan State. Minnesota leads it wire to wire. It's a court storm at the barn. Gophers 76, Michigan State 73.
And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. A magic moment at the barn, Williams Arena. Mike Grimm on the call as Minnesota, after losing a ton of heartbreakers with 7 guys, find a way to upset Michigan State.
How about that?
It was really, really something. Well, as for this week's show, we're going to touch on various topics, one of which is what the National Association of Basketball Coaches is doing with the American Cancer Society. It's called Suits and Sneakers, and we're going to talk about that.
That'll be a lot of fun and pretty interesting stuff to get to a little bit later on. But speaking of the fun, we're going to be catching up with the voice of the Illini, Brian Barnhart, here shortly because there's a big one building up at the Breslin Center this weekend. A top 10 battle between Michigan State and Illinois. And to take a look at the Illini that really have a pretty good shot at maybe winning this whole league this year. We'll talk with Brian Barnhart. And later on, we have number 1 versus number 2 in hockey. College ice men's hockey. It's Michigan State and Michigan, just to, make it even a bigger deal than 1 versus 2. And Neil Koepke, who's been covering all things hockey for a very long time, will join us to talk about that matchup.
Well, sounds of the week. What do we got, Dalton?
Well, let's continue with the court storm at the barn, as Mike Grimm was calling it, the voice of the Gophers. Niko Medved, the head coach, had this to say after the win as he celebrated with all the fans.
Our guys showed a ton of toughness. I mean, it got hairy down the stretch like you could imagine, but ultimately we made enough free throws and we just made that last couple plays. I'm so proud of them. You know how many close games we've been in. They just keep battling. Didn't let them get it down. They came in here today. They fought their tails off. They earned this one here tonight.
You're homegrown. This is your school. Enjoy it.
We love it. Go Gophers!
That is really funny. His parents, he's 52, okay? Mm-hmm. His parents were season ticket holders before he was born. So they've been going to a lot of Gopher games.
You talk about destiny. And by the way, that was his interview with Andy Katz afterwards on the Big Ten Network. Part of that loss, Michigan State men's basketball now has dropped the last 2. And head coach Tom Izzo spoke after this one, and really one of the biggest storylines that came away from it, there was a technical foul called on Jeremy Fears Jr., who had appeared to have kicked his heel back at a Gopher player in the course of the game. Tom Izzo had an interaction with some of the print media afterwards where they talked and discussed a little bit about the actions of Jeremy Fears.
I'd like to know if he hit somebody when he killed. I thought he got pushed. And
the video shows his leg going up and hitting him.
It does hit him?
It does hit him.
Then he deserved it. And then that was a good call. I didn't see that. And I did think he got hit first, which he did because they called the foul. But immaturity and that, and you know what? If he plays that way, he deserves it. Okay? And he ain't going to play that way if I bench him the next game. Because that is, now, he is a physical player. So is number 6. I mean, so is number 5. They're physical players. And I think things got blown up in the last game that when that stuff goes public, then you gotta really deal with it. If that's private between a coach and a coach or the front office, but once it goes to you guys, then it gets blown up. If he deserves it, good for him. I've had it with that too. That's not what I teach. That's not what I coach.
Tom Izzo talking about the play of his point guard, and the guy is playing well enough at times to be in the conversation for All-American status at some level. But at the end of the day, Tom Izzo is Tom Izzo, and obviously him and Jeremy Fears will have some discussions before the Saturday game against Illinois.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, you talk about that Saturday game we mentioned a moment ago. This is a big one in East Lansing with the Illini coming in. That's the perfect segue to head coach Brad Underwood talking at the podium about his squad. And one of the things he likes the most about his really talented team, he says, is problem solving.
Yeah, we're really good problem solvers. and I say that, I use that term a lot. We solve problems. And really high IQ guys that know how to play. Tommy doesn't get enough credit for how good of screens he sets and the angles he sets them and how he gets out of them. And then you see Keaton probably at his best. He just, steps through, he shortens, they shorten passes, they trapped him, they were in full rotation. We had to make an adjustment to get a guy off the wing a little bit and get into some 3-low stuff. But this team has the ability to do that. And then, I thought Andre offensively was very efficient at driving closeouts, and then you got Jake and Ben and Tommy Z, all those guys that can really shoot it. So it was we hadn't seen the traps in a while, so it was nice to see that.
That sound coming courtesy of Bryce Butler of B-Ball Brainiac.
I got a kick out of Coach talking about solving problems. What are the problems? Which tall guy do I throw it to, or which great shooter do I throw it to? Who's tall?
We like to call those first world problems that Illinois has to deal with. That's pretty good stuff. Oh, we talked about, too, we're going to be getting to some ice hockey a little bit later on here in the show. It's number 1 versus number 2. It's Michigan State and Michigan. This past weekend, though, there was quite the iconic deal with Michigan State playing Penn State at Beaver Stadium, outdoors at the football field of Penn State. Michigan State and Penn State would come down to the wire. It took overtime, but Charlie Stramel had this game winner. You'll hear the call by Scott Moore and Rob Woodward of the Michigan State Radio Network, and afterwards, you'll hear what Charlie Stramel, who had a hat trick in the game winner, had to say about the huge win for Michigan State.
Stramel, centering pass, had Russell out in front. Minute 58 to go. Puck loose along the near board. Now right out in front. Backhand try. Goal! The Spartans win it in overtime.
Hat trick for Charlie Stramel. Look at the Spartans all out onto the ice. Mobbing Charlie Stramel. What a job. In front. Michigan State wins it in OT. Gets the extra point.
Thanks to Penn State for putting this event on. To play in front of that many people. It's pretty surreal, and, obviously happy with the win, but an unreal environment and super cool hockey game to be a part of. Well, I think we go out there, we kind of treat this game like every other. Obviously a lot different overall, but we treat this game just like any other. We go out there, try and get 3 points, At the end of the day, we love playing against them. They're a great hockey team, and just happy to come out with a win. Thankful for Coach Nightingale taking a chance on me in the portal and, helping me get my confidence and my overall game back. There's no better spot to play than Michigan State, and thankful for him taking a chance on me and glad to be a part of this university now.
There you go. Some thoughts about a great win and a great venue, and that's really good for college hockey. It just is. He mentioned Coach Nightingale. Think about this. It may not happen, but he hasn't been at Michigan State for like 10 or 15 years. But he takes over a program that's proud but not doing well. And he's in the hunt to win a 3rd straight regular season Big Ten title?
It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable.
Pretty good. Well, coming up on the Sports Life, we're going to talk to the guy who gets to describe the hottest team in the Big Ten. That's Illinois and Brian Barnhart. Back with more in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor? Yes, I am. Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of The Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, imagine this, Dalton. Imagine having the pleasure of calling a basketball team. You're the play-by-play guy on a team that hasn't lost a game this year. Well, that's the joy of Brian Barnhart, the voice of the Fighting Illini. And Brian, welcome into the show.
Yeah, good to be on with you guys. And, calendar year 2026, no losses. So, yeah, that's been fun.
Are you getting bored yet? Just one win after another?
Not at all. It's, every once in a while. And, of course, Michigan State's had a bunch of special teams, down through the years. Are all a little different. But, a special team comes along where you feel like every game you go into, the way they're playing right now is, it doesn't matter. You're going to win. At Mackey Arena, I felt pretty good about it, even though Mackey's a really tough place to play, as you guys know. Nebraska, of course, hadn't lost a game until they lost to Michigan. We go in there, and except for about a 3-minute stretch late in the first half, we're in really good position to win that game, and they did. And then they're taking care of business against the teams that they should beat. So, it's been a very, very good 12-game stretch here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the magic of this basketball team. You're in a first-place tie with Michigan. Both of you have one loss right now in the conference play. What has been this team's calling card? Because this is really a good basketball team.
Well, for one, they're very balanced. Keaton Wagner gets a lot of attention, and he should, because he's emerged. I wouldn't say it was from nowhere, but I don't think anybody expected him to have the kind of year, the freshman year that he's having. He's been unflappable. He takes what's given to him. If he doesn't score, he has a lot of assists. He grabs rebounds. I mean, he is something else. And now that, when he had the explosion at Purdue with 46, well, that got all the national people's attention, of course. And then his attention meter has risen quite a bit. But, he's been just so steady as a freshman. We thought he might hit a freshman wall at some point, and he hasn't. Kylan Boswell, before he went down with his hand injury, was an anchor defensively. The big guys, the Ivicic twins, can stretch the floor and shoot threes. at a pretty good rate. Both of them, I think, in the mid-30s as far as percentage. Zvonimir Ivicic, Big Z as we call him, has been a rim protector around the basket with his jumping ability, and so the combination of all of that, it's not just one or two guys, and you stop them and you stop Illinois. It's Stojakovic can drive to the rim, and Mirkovic as a freshman has been a steady 12.8 rebound a game guy. So they've just got a lot of really good pieces, and once they got everybody healthy after November, where they kind of worked their way through some injuries. They're humming along at a really good clip. So it's being really good offensively, number one in the country, I think, in offensive efficiency. And they've improved their defense a ton since early in December. And that's how they're winning games.
Well, and maybe some of this answer as you went through the personnel goes back to Keaton and what he's done here in his freshman year. But you talk about getting healthy, and you mentioned Kylan Boswell is out for your squad. I mean, what has allowed Illinois to be able to kind of fill the void and shift the dynamic where they're still winning games, still all cylinders clicking and firing, even without somebody who's averaging 13.5 points, 4.5 boards, 4 assists a game?
Yeah, that's part of the depth, Dalton, is really the depth of the team and the flexibility of the team. I mean, Jake Davis came in, transferring in from Mercer before last year, and he was kind of a specialist. He was a really good three-point shooter, but it wasn't a guy that, you counted on to play big minutes. But, boy, he has stepped into the starting role, and he has really developed in his second year, not just to be a shooter, but he can do some other things too. Keaton's emergence, it was after the UConn game that they kind of gave the point guard, I guess, duties, if you will, primarily to Keaton Wagler. And that changed a little bit, put Boswell off the ball a little bit, but they still would both be involved in the point guard spot. But Wagner has picked up the scoring. Davis certainly has been a factor. Stojakovic has been much better defensively now than he was in December, guarding some of the better players in the league. And so it's kind of been a combination of things, really, to replace Kylan. And it'll be interesting to see, what they do when he gets healthy. I think it'll be sometime, later this month. He'll make his return, and how they handle that will be pretty interesting. But with minutes and who plays what position and so forth. But I think it's just they're so deep and they're so versatile that they can kind of mix and match and, plug in and play whatever style they need to or whatever personnel they need to plug in. And that's kind of the vision that Brad Underwood had when he put the roster together.
Brian, before I ask you about your upcoming schedule, has Coach Underwood changed his style at all to adapt to this group of people?
Well, he has, I think, as he's gone along each year. I mean, I think, from the early couple of years, he coached a certain way. And then, as NIL has become, the story and the transfer portal and everything else, he's adapted really, really well. So, I had somebody ask on my radio show in Champaign, why is Brad Underwood sitting down so much? They thought he ought to be standing more. And, before it was, he was standing up too much. I mean, I don't know what it is, but, he's got really good guys on his coaching staff, including his son, Tyler, who's in charge of the offense. And they brought in Cam Crocker, a young man, a young coach, to coach the defense and the kind of an offensive defensive coordinator type situation. And he's just related well to the guys. He's more of a basketball CEO. I mean, he knows how to handle the media, of course. He does well with that, with us, gives us what we need. He's just, I've seen him, grow as a Big Ten coach over the last, 9 years that he's been here. And he's one of the best in the game today. And but he's adapted, I think, to the ever-changing world of college athletics in a really good way.
Well, with 18 teams in a conference, sometimes a champion can be crowned by the schedule a little bit. And I'm looking at your schedule, and it looks pretty favorable to me as you come down the stretch. But let me go through it and then get your take on it. You got a game at Michigan State. They're struggling at the moment. You have Wisconsin, Indiana at home. That's a good thing. You go to USC, UCLA. Those guys are not at the top of their game. Michigan, you have at home. Oregon at home, and then you go to Maryland, who's having not a very good year. So at the end of the day, I'm guessing you like your path here.
Yeah, I think so. Once we, there was, in my mind, there were, the three legs of the stool, if you will, were Purdue, at Nebraska, and at Michigan State. And whether or not Illinois would win the Big Ten was how they did in those games. And now they've won two of those three. And those are three of the toughest places to play in the country. And, they're going to have to, beat a Michigan State team who's going to be a little bit desperate in the sense that they got to break a 2-game losing streak. And Tom always has them ready. And it's always a tough battle. But you're right. I mean, the schedule was favorable early to them. The middle part of the schedule that was the toughest, they've handled perfectly so far. And then you're right at the end. The one thing, and I think you guys have been on the West Coast swing before, but, how will they handle the travel? The long trip, they're going to be gone for 5 or 6 days from Champaign. How will they handle that? That could be tricky, I think. But they will be favored probably in those games. And, of course, Oregon is struggling. They've been banged up, and Maryland is struggling as well. So, yeah, I think the two really key games here coming up, and they've got to win them all, of course, but at Michigan State and then the home showdown with Michigan, which, as you guys know, will have a little extra spice to it with Merez Johnson returning. He was a very popular player when he was with Illinois, and now he's at Michigan. And as you guys know, up in East Lansing, people here don't like Michigan very much. So that'll be quite a spicy one, I think.
That should be a lot of fun. Brian, we've talked about a lot of the strengths of this team when we talk about the versatility, the shooting options, the balance, the depth. One of the other strengths that I believe exists with this team that I don't think we've touched on much, the length. I mean, just when you have the wings spreading their arms out, it's just taking up so much room on the floor. The length seems to be a bit of a difference maker in some of these games.
Yeah, they're the tallest team in the country, I think, collectively, because most guys are, they're smallest. Usually their smaller guys are 6'6". And the guards for Northwestern the other night, were 5'10" and, 6 feet. So they had a huge advantage. It's been funny, Dalton, because they've used the zone more than we've ever seen under Brad Underwood in different spots, and not just using it because nothing else is working. They've actually used it out of bounds plays. They've got their two twin towers in, if you will, the Ivasic twins, they put them on the back end of the zone for rim protection. They get every rebound. And so, yeah, the length, the size. I think the other stat is the free throws. They don't foul very much. They play, long stretches without any fouls, so teams don't go to the free throw line. And when Illinois goes to the line, they're making close to 80% of their free throws. So as somebody described it to me, it's almost a math equation every time they play. And right now it's hard to keep up with them because they score so efficiently from three. They've got big guys that can stretch the floor. They've got guys that can attack the rim. And they make all their free throws, and they don't put you on the line. And so that's why I think this is a, pretty unique team that we've seen here put together.
Well, the good news is Dalton and I don't coach a team, so we don't have to play Illinois. That's good news.
Yeah, well, it was funny because it took a while. Tomislav had his tonsils removed, early in the season, so he missed a handful of games. Of course, Boswell, as you guys mentioned, has been out a little bit. Petrovic, who doesn't play much now because Wagler basically took over the spot on the floor, and he came in late and had to overcome an injury, and Stojakovic was hurt early. So Brad had always said, when we get all the pieces together, we could be pretty good. And all the pieces pretty much are together, and even without Boswell, they're still winning games. So it's a fun team to watch, and people here are pretty excited.
Well, I think Coach Underwood's right. I think Illinois is pretty good. Well, I appreciate it, Brian.
Okay. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Dalton.
Well, a fun chat with the voice of the Fighting Illini, Brian Barnhart. Well, next up on the Sports Life, we're going to talk about coaches versus cancer in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender.
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, there's a lot of great initiatives in sports in general, but in college sports in particular. And one of them, and it's been going on a long time, and it's how the NABC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, have begun a partnership with the American Cancer Society. And joining us now is Executive Director of the NABC, Nate Pomeday. And Nate, I'd like to start by going back to the beginning of this thing. This effort has raised so much money to do so much good in cancer research. Can you take us back to the very beginning, how this whole thing started?
Well, thanks, Will. Thanks, Dalton, for having me on. Appreciate being here, and really excited to talk about Coaches versus Cancer. So this all goes back more than 30 years ago with Norm Stewart at the University of Missouri. He wanted to do something to raise some money and raise awareness about cancer. He was having cancer issues close to his family, and he started these games to build awareness and to help raise money, and then worked with the previous executive and associate executive director at the NABC, Reggie Minton, and Jim Haney, to begin this Coaches versus Cancer program. And then shortly after that, there became an official relationship between the American Cancer Society and the NABC, and what was born was Coaches versus Cancer. And one of the biggest weeks or events that Coaches versus Cancer does, this initiative does, is our Suits and Sneakers Week. That's usually the last week of January that we just had, where you see our coaches do everything in a variety of different ways to raise awareness. So it's just been an amazing initiative.
I have to ask you this before we get into some meaty questions here. Suits and sneakers. The suits are gone.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Talk about, marketing and branding there. We had to figure out, like, what do we do with this suits and sneakers? Because, before the pandemic, everybody was in suits. And then the NBA decided, you know what, we can ditch suits forever. And so our coaches generally only wore suits during a game. So they went the casual route. But what's interesting is we kept with the suits and sneakers marketing and branding for two reasons. One, anybody can wear the sneakers now. In fact, everybody's wearing sneakers, and now there's a variety with sneakerheads and different things that you can do with your sneakers to raise those types of awareness about cancer and the fight against cancer. Some of the creative initiatives have been pretty neat, like going to having young cancer patients design shoes with their names on them for the coaches or the team. It's been really neat. And then we can auction off those shoes to raise funds. And then I've also seen some coaches hop back in a sport coat for one game to honor the Coaches versus Cancer Suits and Sneakers initiative. So it's kind of worked. It's kind of worked well. But although we did have to pivot, get some patches for the guys that still wear the 3/4 zip for the game too. So we're working through everything we can.
That's awesome. And Nate, I mean, you talked about the history of how this all started some time ago. And I think one of the really big compliments that you can pay to Coaches versus Cancer is it's something that everybody recognizes now, especially before the pandemic when all of a sudden they were wearing sneakers and tennis shoes and it was such a different look. It still is something that people are aware of. It's become a part of the culture of college basketball. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the success that this initiative has had over its time.
Well, appreciate that. The success has been just remarkable. In terms of association coach-driven initiatives, I think we have to be the tops in all of America with helping raise funds. Over our 30 years, we've raised almost $180 million. I mean, we're pacing at between 10 to 12, $13 million a year, every year, that this initiative, the Coaches versus Cancer initiative, is bringing into the American Cancer Society and that money is going towards research. It's going towards marketing on screening, getting information out to communities that have to make sure they're staying on top of all of their cancer screening, whether it's, colon cancer or it's all different sorts of cancers. And it's been extremely successful. We've signed another agreement. The NABC signed another agreement with the American Cancer Society for the next 6 years. And there's a new CEO. His name's Shane Jacobson over at the American Cancer Society. And he's coming from another foundation that was very famous for raising money for cancer, the Dickie V Foundation. And he's worked a lot with coaches. So we're really excited to work with him and continue this initiative into the future and hopefully well past Craig, who's our executive director, myself. I'm actually the associate executive director. Got to make sure I make sure Craig is mentioned as well. Hopefully long after we're gone, this continues to make an impact with the American Cancer Society.
Nate, did anybody dream it would get this big? Do you think Norm dreamed it would get this big?
I'm sure he, like all coaches, right? Like all coaches are dreamers and movers of mountains. So I bet you if I talked to Norm today, he'd probably jump me for saying, how come we're not getting more done? And that's the attitude of our coaches going into this is we need to keep doing more. We need to keep pushing. Just like, Coach Izzo probably is with his guys all the time after a win and a loss. You might not, he's going to be sometimes just as grumpy after a win because he knows how he's got to keep pushing the envelope on these guys. So our coaches are the exact same way with this initiative, and that's probably why it's continued to be successful.
Well, Nate, I want to run a couple numbers by you, and these are practical numbers. 1 in 2 men 1 in 3 women will probably wind up diagnosed with some kind of cancer in their lifetime. Can you talk about the importance of screening?
Absolutely. There's so often people, especially after the pandemic, we have not done a good job of continuing to stay on top of our screenings at the right age. So really encourage everybody out there to ask their doctor, what cancer screenings should I be doing or should I be scheduling? Because if you can get screened and they something is identified that you have a problem or a potential cancer, if this screening is done early enough, the success rate is high for you to beat that cancer. But if the cancer is not picked up in screening, but picked up in another way where you're starting to feel sick, you may have put yourself in more danger, and it might not be as survivable of a cancer. So getting screened is the number one, probably the number one thing you can do. In fact, I know it is the number one thing you can do to beat cancer is to get screened. That is the number one thing. Beyond healthy habits, everything else, make sure you're up to date on all your screenings.
So if somebody wants to help Nate, what do we do? We just write you a check for $1 million and call it good, or what?
No, you can go to the NABC Coaches versus. You can go to our website at the NABC. There'll be a Coaches versus Cancer link there. You can take a look at that. In that link, you'll find everything you need to know about screening, different ways you can help. If you wanted to make a donation, you could. And then every year when you see your coach put on the suits and sneakers, there'll be opportunities for you to make an impact, whether it's at the game or, online, anything you can do. And if anything else, talk about the suits and sneakers game with your family members, with your neighbors, and, mention, man, that getting screened is really important. And tell somebody what you're doing to get screened, and that will probably help push that person to do the same thing on their end. So, the more we talk about it, the better, the more we can continue to fight against cancer.
Well, Nate, I always appreciate it. It's too bad we don't have more time. We could talk some Big Ten hoops. You could talk about your favorite team, Northwestern.
That's right. My Wildcats, we're going through it. We're going through a youth movement right now along and trying to give Nick Martinelli a good farewell for everything that he's done at Northwestern. So I know my Cats will keep fighting. And I love that everyone's getting in the Big Ten tournament this year. So you're saying there's a chance come March every single year?
Well, I appreciate it, Nate. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Will. Thanks, Dalton. Take care, guys.
There you go. Some of the thoughts of Nate Pomeday, the Associate Executive Director of the NABC, which stands for the National Association of Basketball Coaches. And what a great conversation, Dalton, about how the money's being raised, what it's going towards. And it's just something, it's part of our fiber now, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Well, when we come back talking about good things, there's some great hockey being played in the Big Ten. And coming up, it's going to be number 1 against number 2 this weekend. Back with more on that in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, throughout the course of this sports season, we've talked about the Big Ten in football, right, Dalton? Mm-hmm. Indiana, now the national champs. In men's basketball, will ever the Big Ten win another national title? That's always a conversation. Well, there's another really good conversation going on right now, and it revolves around Big Ten hockey. Right now, the Big Ten has the number 1 and 2 ranked teams in all the land. Michigan 1, Michigan State 2. And joining us to talk about these two teams and their game coming up this week, and they have 2 of them, is Neil Koepke. And Neil, you've been covering college hockey now for over 50 years, 54 to be exact. And before we talk about this matchup, which is huge, can you explain to me why the Big Ten, as good as it has not been able to win a national title, a Frozen Four, since 2007, and that was Michigan State.
Exactly. And the year before that, it was Wisconsin. And back then, guys, both Wisconsin and Michigan State were in different leagues. It was a CCHA for MSU and the WCHA. But since the Big Ten has been formed in 2013-14, there's been some very good teams that we've all seen. But boy, when they get to the regionals or the Frozen Four, they just can't complete the deal. And, the best example of that, maybe not the best, but certainly a good one, was Michigan State last year. A dominant team, Big Ten champs regular season, Big Ten playoff champs. And they went to Toledo, and they were favored, and they got upset in the first round by Cornell. One of the most frustrating games I've seen in Spartan history, and certainly for the boys and the coaching staff, that was just a big disappointment. But they've been, Michigan, or I would say the Big Ten teams, have been in position to win it. And we go back to 22, 23, when Minnesota was 2 minutes away from winning the title in Tampa. And Quinnipiac came back to tie the game with a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. And then 10 seconds into overtime, Quinnipiac won it. And that was a Minnesota team, guys, that was number 1 from the start of the season to the very, very last game. And yet they couldn't complete the deal. Michigan's been there several times with very good teams, and they haven't been get out of the first round of the Frozen Four. And so it's a big mystery. It's one of those things where they're good teams, and for some reason, teams like I just mentioned, Quinnipiac or Providence or Union or Yale have won tournaments. And when fans from other teams in the Big Ten go, how come they get to win and we don't? And it's a frustrating thing for the Big Ten fans. Good league, a lot of good teams. They put a lot of money into these programs, and yet they somehow can't finish in the Frozen Four. And that's a big mystery. But this year, people are already talking about maybe Michigan and Michigan State both getting to the Frozen Four. And let's hope if they do, they don't get in the same bracket and they maybe meet in the final, because that would be an amazing situation for this state, for these programs. And then we would at least say, well, at least the Big Ten is going to get somebody to win this tournament. And that would be a lot of fun. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens the next 4 weeks of the regular season, and then obviously regionals and then Frozen Four type things.
Well, and you talk about, Neil, Michigan State and Michigan, and of course, that's a rivalry and a matchup that's taking place this weekend. And as Will said, it's number 1 versus number 2. And I think this is one of the really cool things. I think Michigan and Michigan State is a great rivalry. It matters in football, right? We just saw in men's basketball, it was a top 10 battle. Women's basketball, for the first time ever, both teams were in the top 15 and it went to overtime. And it matters in hockey, too. I mean, I don't know how many rivalries in the country can quite pound their chest that they're relevant across the board. But what is this like on the ice? What's different on the ice versus those other sports for Michigan State and Michigan?
You know what it is? It's the emotion of playing your rival and the emotion and the fear of losing and what that means, how that feels. I always said one of the greatest things a Michigan State player can experience is going to Ann Arbor on a bus, winning, getting on that bus, and driving home. And I would say every player wished that drive home was 2 hours instead of 1, because it's such a good feeling. But what's not a good feeling is going down there and losing and getting on that bus. And it's the same for Michigan too. It's just a gut feeling that it lingers, and it's different than, say, losing to Wisconsin or Notre Dame or Minnesota. It's just different because it's a rivalry that you're constantly competing with that other program. Even in the offseason, you're looking at a roster going, how do we stack up? Are they any good? They're terrible. They're not very good in goal or whatever. So it's a constant thing. And it's just like in any other sport where they do that. But in hockey, same way. And because of the atmosphere, because of the physicality that you can do in hockey, it's just a little different. And boy, it's like a great thing to do when you beat that rival. And when Michigan State last year won a couple games and won the season series down there, boy, it was just one of the biggest accomplishments they could achieve that season. And they didn't get it done, obviously, in other ways, but boy, that was something they'll always remember, is winning at Yost and winning at Little Caesars Arena.
Well, coming up this weekend, Neil, you've got the 1 and 2 as we've talked about. Both these guys are on 6-game winning streaks. The first game Friday is at Ann Arbor. It's at Yost. And then the Saturday game is at Little Caesars Arena. So I always look at momentum in these things, and I look at Michigan State. They've knocked off 2 ranked teams on the road, Wisconsin and Penn State, swept them both. So as you look at this thing, it looks like the geographic locations favor Michigan, but you know how it goes, man. Are you playing hot? Are you playing smooth? Do you have the momentum? What do you think? Who's the favorite in these 2 games?
It's probably a toss-up, and I bet you anyone that if you look at scouts, you look at neutral people looking at this, they'll probably think, this has split written all over it, and it's easy to say, but then you say, well, what team can maybe take the extra step, make the big play, make the big goal-scoring play, or defend? I think with Michigan State having Trey Augustine in goal, they have an advantage there because Michigan's goalie is hurt. Freshman Jack Ivan Kovac, who has a very similar goals against average like Trey, he's out indefinitely. He might come back in the regular season in the next few weeks, but he injured himself like 4 weeks ago. And they have a goalie named Stephen Peck, freshman, who's just not like at that level, but he's played well. One of the reasons he's played okay is because Michigan handles the puck so well, controls the puck so well. They have a great offense. So I give Michigan the edge offensively because they are just a dynamite team when it comes to power play. play and scoring, I give Michigan State a little bit more defensive edge because of the goaltending. But when you look at it itself, it's very, very close. And I think what you're going to see is maybe Michigan holds serve in Ann Arbor because they're mad that they lost the last time down there when the two teams won on each other's rinks to start that series in December. And now we go to Detroit the next night, and Michigan State has played very well in Little Caesars Arena the last couple of years. So they're going to have 18,000 fans. It'll be split, really, and Michigan State fans are really coming out now in droves to watch this team, especially here and now with an opportunity to see the team in Detroit. So that should be a good match. But you want to win that first game, so at least you're basically set, at least getting a split. But then if you do win that first game, boy, the hunger is there to win the second game. But in college hockey, guys, that you guys realize, and I've realized for 50-some years, splitting is what usually happens when two really high-ranked teams, comparable teams, play. And it's tough to get a sweep in college hockey. I know a lot of fans thought, well, if you beat them on Friday, why can't you beat them on Saturday? Well, in college hockey, it doesn't work that way. Just because of the one team loses, they're mad. The other team maybe sits back and is comfortable. And then you have another game where the other team wins, and now you've got a standoff. So these teams might meet again in the regionals. Let's hope they don't. Let's hope they get to the Frozen Four in Vegas. But this series should be a good way to look at the rest of the season. And you guys, one thing that Michigan's got going for that they really are sort of like focused on is that Michigan has never won the regular season championship in the Big Ten. And their rivals, Michigan State, have won the last 2 years for the first two times since the league started in 2013-14. So that's something that Michigan has in the back of their mind. They've won playoff titles. They haven't won the regular season, whereas the Spartans now have won 2 in a row, and they're looking to win 3 in a row and say, ha, Michigan, we won 3 and you haven't won any.
Oh, I can hear that conversation. Well, Neil, thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend.
I will, guys. Thanks for having me.
So there you go. Some of the thoughts of Neil Koepke, almost a college hockey historian at this point. And he talks about that league race, Dalton. Right now, Michigan has a 1-point lead over Michigan State, 36 points to 35 points. I had no idea Michigan had never won the Big Ten hockey title.
That's wild, isn't it? It just goes to show how much amplified all the intensity will be in this series.
I bet it's going to be fun. Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Life, our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt. That's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of The Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Pretty diverse program this week. Nice talk with Brian Barnhart about this wonderful University of Illinois basketball team. And Nate Pomeday talking about the NABC and their work with the Cancer Association. That was special. Mm-hmm. And of course, Dalton and I, they just call us Mr. and Mr. Hockey. It was fun to talk about what's going on with this great race between Michigan and Michigan State. So we have now worked our way to our parting shots.
And by the way, if you missed anything, make sure you give us a follow at Sports Life Now on Twitter or X. We're again at Sports Life Now. And I'd like to live up to the name. If you're going to don me with the nickname Mr. Hockey.
Mr. Hockey.
We'll stay with hockey. In the beginning, we talked about and celebrated the outdoor game at Beaver Stadium between Michigan State and Penn State. Spartans win it in overtime, 5-4. But that crowd, by the way, I wanted to use for my parting shot because it was 74,575 people that made their way to Beaver Stadium for that hockey game outdoors in a day where I think the real feel was around 12 degrees there at State College, PA. Hats off to all of you because that is a cold environment and people showed out with their pops freezing. Everything was freezing over. They still showed up and they got treated to a really great game. But that was a neat day for Big Ten.
And I thought they'd have you out there dropping the ceremonial first puck.
Hey, I was hiding away. That is too cold for yours truly.
It is really cold, and I'm with you on that. And keeping along those same lines, we're always talking about in the Big Ten, people don't get how tough it is to go on the road because of the crowds and everything. Well, here's one of the reasons. Think about this. For the past 35 consecutive seasons, this is men's basketball, the Big Ten has led the nation in attendance 35 straight years. Over 2 million fans come to see Big Ten basketball every year. Top draws: Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Purdue. These guys are always in the top 25 nationally in terms of attendance. So at the end of the day, what do we know about Big Ten men's basketball? Great arenas, loyal fans, and the game is good, and a lot of people want to come see it. So with that, that's a wrap for this week's Sports Life Show. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, we should note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Teeman, and thanks for your time.